In today's video, I'll be showing you the quickest way to get the newest fighting style in Blox fruits, the Sanguine Arts. This fighting style is great for almost anything, and it's one of the best to use in the game. So today, I'll show you each step on how to get it, along with the quickest and easiest methods on how to complete those steps. It is a little grindy, but in the end, it will be worth it. So let's get into the requirements. For the Sanguine Arts, when it comes to the materials, there are 3 types you will need. First of all, you'll need 2 dark fragments, which is probably the hardest to get out of the bunch. Then, you'll also need 20 demonic wisps. It sounds like a lot, but with the method I'll show you in today's video, it'll be easy. And finally, you'll also need 20 vampire fangs, which is by far the easiest to gather, so that's what I'll start off with. For these fangs, you're going to head to the Graveyard Island in the Second Sea, which is right next to the haunted ship. Head inside this giant cave, and you'll find these vampires. All you have to do is keep farming them until you get all 20 vampire fangs. But if you want to make this easier on yourself, you can use Buddha and run around killing them, which will make this much faster. Another fruit you can use is Quake, specifically the Sea Quake move, which you unlock at 150 mastery, and awakening it. I didn't show it in this video since it's tough to get those levels on Quake and awaken it. So instead, if you don't have that, you can also use any Logia type fruit, as long as you're a higher level than these vampires, and you can sit here AFK, farming them. You will need an auto clicker to go AFK while doing this, which I left a link to in the description down below. It doesn't matter which Logia fruit you use, as long as you're a higher level and you're using a weapon that doesn't pull you forward whenever you attack. Anyways, there's not much else for me to say about this part. Simply farm until you have 20 vampire fangs using the methods I told you about, and you should be good. Let's move on to the next material we will need for the Sanguine Art, which will be the demonic wisps. To find these, you'll have to head to the haunted castle in the Third Sea. Once again, I'll be using Buddha, since for me, I think it's the easiest to farm with. Of course, you can also use a Logia or even Quake. Both are good options as well. These guys in the castle, specifically the top floor, will be the ones that drop the demonic wisps. And you may have saw earlier, but you do need Haki or Aura in order to fight these guys. That shouldn't be a problem though, since if you're in the Third Sea, you should already have both types of Haki. This time, the best way to farm while AFK will probably be with Quake. This is because the 2 awakened moves it has, Sea Quake and Spatial Shockwave, both have a really large attack radius, and the demons in this place are all really close to one another, making them easy to kill. The only problem is that I don't have Quake leveled up, nor awakened, so I can't do that method. Instead, what I like to do is with Buddha. Head to one of these corners on either side of the front of the castle. Then, just turn on an auto clicker and farm here. You'll get a ton of demonic wisps, bones, and money overnight, so it's a really good method overall without touching a single button. Now, if you're worried about being griefed while farming, then I'd highly recommend buying your own private server. And if you don't have the money for one, then what you can do is use the ones in my Discord. That's right, I have up to 9 different servers you can use right now. All you have to do is join the Discord using the link in the description and get up to level 5 in the Discord by chatting. Anyways, we've already moved on to the third material needed for the Sanguine Arts, which is the dark fragments. You will need 2 of these, meaning you'll have to defeat Blackbeard twice. I do have a pretty good method to farming some Fists of Darknesses, which is what you need to spawn the boss, but it will take a long time, and I can't help you with defeating the boss itself. Now, to do this method, head to the starting island in the Second Sea and come to where I've just gone to. There will be a wall you can destroy, which will lead you to this secret room with 3 chests. You may be asking, how is this gonna get me the Fist of Darkness? Well, if you didn't know, a Fist of Darkness spawns randomly in a chest every 4 hours. And if you're gonna try and get one of those while AFK, This is the best way. All you need is Tiny Task, a program that copies the buttons you press and replays them. You can download this through the link in the description. What you're gonna do is head to where I'm at. Then, pull up Tiny Task, and before anything, go to the preferences and turn on continuous playback. This is gonna make it so you don't have to keep pressing play every time the recording stops. Now what you're gonna do is press record and immediately start walking around the walls, grabbing the chests, and also make sure you're not moving your camera. Once you did it, stop recording and press play. You'll know you've done it correctly if you're moving and walking over the places where the chests will spawn. Don't worry if you messed it up a bit like I did. Since this room is very small, you're still gonna grab the chests either way, which is the important part. Now, you can leave, go outside or something, and come back the next day or so. This is by far the best way I know of to get the Fist of Darkness while AFK. And once you get one, head to the Dark Arena Island and put the fist inside the altar, which will spawn Dark Beard. Just so you know, he's a pretty tough boss, and he also despawns within 10 minutes of first spawning him, so I'd recommend finding other people to help you with the boss fight. Anyways, let's move on to the final 3 things you will need for the Sanguine Art. You're gonna need 5,000 fragments, $5 million, and a Leviathan Heart. I'll start off with the fragments. The best way to farm fragments is still by doing raids. This is the best, and one of the only ways to get fragments. Now the real question is, which is the best raid to do to farm fragments? Lots of people say flame, others say ice, but in my opinion, I think it's dark. This is because there are 3 main parts to a raid: the islands, the enemies, and the boss. In the dark raid, the islands are small and mostly flat, plus all of the islands are pretty close to each other. Another thing, I never really had trouble fighting any of the dark users, since they don't do much. And the boss is also very easy as well, and barely does damage. I know I'm doing the ice raid here, and it's because I just like the aesthetic of it. But if you're going for speed, the dark raid is definitely the fastest. Now, there is one other method to farming fragments, and that's through bots. Yes, those annoying bots that fly around automatically killing NPCs can actually be helpful. I'm sure you've seen some of them flying around the Cake Island every once in a while. This can be helpful, because whenever you find one of these bots, usually they're farming the NPCs in the Cake Island to fight one of the raid bosses, the Cake Prince. And to fight that raid boss, you need to kill 500 enemies around the Cake Island, which is why they do that. You can actually take advantage of this. And whenever they kill the 500 enemies for you, go into the portal where you fight the Cake Prince, and simply do enough damage to him and get the kill. This will give you 1,000 fragments for doing nothing. But the reason why I didn't say this was the best method to farming fragments was because it's a 50-50 chance to find one of these bots in a server, and you would have to keep server hopping until you found one. On top of that, you would also have to wait until they killed all 500 enemies, which could take a while. Both of these methods have their pros and cons, so it's up to you which one you would like to do. If you want to learn more about the best ways to farm fragments, watch the video in the top right. It'll show you 3 great ways to get fragments. Anyways, enough with the fragments. Let's move on to a good way to make the $5 million needed for this fighting style. If the method I showed you for the demonic wisps haven't made you enough money already, which it should, another thing you can do is head to the ice cream island in the Sea of Treats and start farming these ice cream chefs for enough money. These guys are the highest level NPCs that don't use any type of hockey. This is good because it means you can use a Logia fruit and farm these guys without being hit. Like before, if you want to AFK while doing this, use the auto clicker in the description to help you. I have seen some other methods using Quake. I won't be going over them in this video since I don't have Quake and I can't show you. But like before, It has something to do with this sea quake move, which has a very large radius, making it good for farming a bunch of NPCs at once. If you were to farm these ice cream chefs for only 10 hours, you would make well over $7.5 million, which is great, making this one of the best and easiest money methods. But with that out the way, let's move on to the final thing needed for the Sanguine Arts, which is the Leviathan Heart. There's honestly not much for me to talk about that people don't already know. To get this heart, all you need to do is fight a Leviathan. And I'm guessing all of you guys already know how to do that, so I won't waste your time by giving you a tutorial on how to fight the Leviathan. But what I will say is, never do a Leviathan hunt with randoms. There's a good chance they will just leave and mess up everything. And finding even one person to do it will be tough, let alone 4 other people. The best way I've found to fighting the Leviathan and getting its heart is by joining the official Blox Fruits Discord server, which is listed under the actual game, and from there, you can join a random person's Leviathan hunt. Usually these people will accept anyone as long as you have a good fruit, so you don't worry about having to get the Beast Hunter boat, finding other people, or any of that tedious stuff. And if you can't find anyone there, join my Discord, where we have our own Sea Events channel where you can find people hosting Leviathan hunts. But yeah, that's everything needed to buy the Sanguine Arts. Before I show you where to actually buy it, I just want to say I hope this video has genuinely helped you find and gather these materials, since I did spend a lot of time making this. Anyways, to buy the fighting style, first head to the Tiki Outpost Island. From the front of the island, head to the right side, specifically the back of it, and over there you'll find a doorway under some stairs. Go inside, and you'll find the NPC who sells the fighting style itself. Anyways, that's all for today's video. I hope I helped you out in some way, and if I did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as it would be greatly appreciated. Anyways, see ya.